Okay, so we did one on 45, 45, 90, and now I'm going to go over 30, 60, 90 with you. And to be honest, those are a little bit harder because whereas the 45, 45, 90 was an isosceles triangle and you knew that the two sides were going to be congruent, you know for a fact because the three angles are different that the side lengths would also be different. Now, recognizing that I don't actually have a square there on my triangle, there it is. So now I know it's a right triangle and I have this angle that's 30. And so when we do special right triangles, we have to remember that X is always the smallest side of my triangle. And if this other angle is 60 and 90, then you know 30 is the smallest. So that across from the 30-degree angle is X. Then the one across from the 60-degree angle is that value of X times the square root of 3. And finally, the hypotenuse is 2 times that leg across from the 30-degree angle. So you get the ratio of X, X squared root 3, and 2X. Now, if I was to give you 6, now let's go with 7 for X here, then I would know that the hypotenuse would be 2 times 7, which gets me 14. And I would know that it's 7 times the square root of 3 for the side across from the 60-degree angle. All right, so I'm going to clear that, and I'm going to do another example. Okay, this time I've got my 30-degree angle. What if I was to take that, what if I was to take that angle, okay, I'm just making dots on my paper. I guess I can't change it. All right, what if I was to, let's see here. What if I was to give you 18 as my hypotenuse? So, again, number one rule, label your X, your 2X, and your X squared root 3. I didn't do it on the 45, 45, 90 so much, but when we talk about 3 different sides having 3 different measures, I think it is important to make sure that you fill that in so you can remember. And you're setting up the equation 2X equals 18, and we divide by 2 and get that X equals 9. So I know that this side over here has to be 9, and so the side across from the 60-degree angle has to be 9 square root 3. Okay, let's do another example. This time I'm going to pause for a moment so that you guys can do it as a practice. Alright, so I'm going to say that this side is 10. So you guys come up with the other 2 answers for that. Okay, so if you got 10 square root 3 across from the 60-degree angle and 20 for your hypotenuse, then you did it correctly. What if I give you, what if I was to give you 20, or 26 square root 3 as my hypotenuse? How would I go about solving that? Well, you start it the way you started all the others, where the X is directly across from that 30-degree angle. So this is X, then this is going to be your X squared root 3, and this is your 2X. So I start by setting up the equation 2X equals 26 square root 3. And I want to get rid of that 2, so I divide both sides by 2, and I'm left with X equaling. Now we have to remember what the rules of division are when we have a radical involved, and that is the whole numbers divide and radicals divide. Well, I don't have a radical in the denominator. All I have is this 2. So 26 divided by 2 is 13. So X is actually going to be 13 square root 3. And if X is 13 square root 3, then this side right here is X square root 3. So I've got to multiply 13 square root 3 times the square root of 3. And that, of course, gets me 13 square root 9, which could then simplify to 13 times 3. So that's going to be, 3 times 3 is 9, 39. So this is 39. And it just proves a point. You cannot think of this in terms of this side across from the 60-degree angle has to have a square root 3. Because it's not a format, it's a ratio. And that means if my 30-degree side has a square root of 3 on it, then my other leg across from the 60 degree is going to have a whole number. Because it's square root 3 times bigger, and the square root 3 times square root 3 cancels that radical out. Okay, let's think of another problem. What if I gave you that across from the 60-degree angle is, let's see, let's just say it's 12. Alright, so again, you're going to start by labeling your x, your 2x, and your x square root 3. And x is always across from the 30-degree angle. And I know I haven't changed that 30 degree yet, but I will do a problem where the 30 degree is down where the 60 degree is. Now, if this side is x, then this one has to be x square root 3, and this one is 2x. So I've got to set that equation up, x square root 3 equals 12, because we're solving for x. So I need to get rid of that square root of 3, so I divide both sides by it. But here I am, just like on the 45, 45, 90, I'm stuck with the radical in my denominator, and that is not okay. So I multiply times that radical over itself. So the square root of 3, if I want to get rid of it, the fastest way to get rid of it is to multiply it by itself. But you got to do the same thing on the top and the bottom, because otherwise you're not going to keep the same fraction. So that's why we say it's square root of 3 over 3, because that reduces down to 1. So in effect, I'm saying 12 over the square root of 3 times 1. I'm just writing it a little differently. So 12 times the square root of 3 gets me 12 square root 3. And the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 gets me the square root of 9, which is equal to 3. So I end up with 12 square root 3 over 3. And this, of course, can simplify. So we end up with 4 square root 3 as our x value. Notice that there's a pattern. Just like with the 45, 45, 90, I just divide by 2 and stick a square root 2 on the end. The same thing is true on this side. I take the 12, divide it by 3, and then stick a square root 3 on the end. So 12 divided by 3 is 4, and then I stick a square root 3 on the end. And that is my x value. And if my x value is 4 square root 3, then my hypotenuse is going to be 2 times that. So 2 times 4 square root 3 gets me 8 square root 3. And that's the answer for this one. And I guess I'll come up with one other problem for you guys to do, and then I'm going to call it a day. So let me clear this out. Actually, how about I start by giving you guys an example problem. So let me, I wish I could figure out how to get rid of that 30 degrees. How about I just blot it out like that, and I put 30 degrees here. So if that's my 30 degree angle, let me give you, let's see, let's do 60 over here. So across from my 60 degree angle is 60. So I'll give you a second to copy this down and work it, and then I'll go over it. So pause it right now. Okay, so when I have a problem like this, I start by circling the 30 degree angle and identifying which side is going to be my x. So that's my x, which means the hypotenuse is going to be 2x, and the one across from my 60 degree angle is going to be x squared root 3. So if I want to solve for x, I've got to set up the equation x squared root 3 equals 60. And then to get rid of it, I divide both sides by the square root of 3. So this cancels out, and I'm left with 60 divided by the square root of 3. But like I said before, you can't leave a radical in the denominator. So you multiply both sides by the square root of 3 over the square root of 3. And you end up getting 60 times the square root of 3 over 3, because the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is the square root of 9, and the square root of 9 is 3. The last step is to simplify it. And if 60 wasn't divisible by 3, I would leave it as a fraction. But since it is, 60 divided by 3 is 20. So I would expect this to be completely simplified so that the answer is 20 square root 3. And if my x is 20 square root 3, then my hypotenuse has to be 2 times that, or 40 square root 3. So I hope this answers your questions. If you're still confused, just come by for tutoring, and I'll see if I can help you out. Thanks so much. Have a great night.